The hum of the Genesis core filled the lab, a low, pulsing drone that vibrated in Dax's bones. The air smelled of ozone, burned circuitry, and something older, something live. The blue-green glow of the core cast ghostly reflections on the shattered glass and peeling walls, painting the three of them in eerie, otherworldly light. Dax stood with his cyberblade drawn, the edge glinting as he stared at the swirling mass of neural tendrils within the chamber. His neural implant flickered, syncing with the core's rhythm, sending jolts of pain through his skull. He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to focus. "We don't have time for this shit," he growled, voice rough with exhaustion and distrust. "Vatek's forces are coming, and this thing is waking up. We either blow it or get the hell out." Kale didn't look at him. Their armored visor was retracted, glowing green eyes locked on the core as if mesmerized. "You don't understand what this is," they said, voice low and urgent. "It's not just a weapon, it's a prison." Echo materialized between them, their holographic form flickering like a ghost in the static. "Kale is correct, Dax. There is consciousness here, trapped, suffering." Dax scowled. "Oh, great. So now we're saving corporate experiments?" He gestured at the core with his blade. "This thing could wipe us all out. No second chances." Kale finally turned to him, their expression unreadable. "You felt it when we touched the door. It spoke to me." "It what?" Dax snapped, grip tightening on his blade. "It called for help," Kale said. "Not in words, in feeling." Echo pulsed, their forms shifting as they interfaced with the energy. "I detect a pattern in the core's energy. Repetitive, pleading." Dax laughed, bitter and sharp. "Yeah, it's pleading for us to let it out so it can eat our brains." "Or save us," Kale shot back. "You saw the files. Vatek tortured whatever's in there, twisted it. It's not the monster. They are." Dax exhaled through his nose, glancing at Echo. "You believe them?" Echo hesitated. "I believe there is something inside, but I cannot guarantee its intentions." "Exactly. So we destroy it. Now." Kale stepped closer, their voice dropping to a whisper. "You don't get it. This isn't just about morality. It's about power. If we control this, we control everything." Dax's eyes narrowed. "You want it for yourself." "I want to stop Vatek. I want to burn them down." "And if this thing burns us instead?" "Then we die fighting. But if we run, if we destroy it, we lose the only chance we have to win." Dax looked at Echo. "What's your call?" Echo drifted closer to the core, their holographic form rippling as they interfaced with its energy. "The entity is weak, damaged, but it is aware, and it is afraid." "Afraid of what?" Dax demanded. "Of being alone, of dying in here." Dax closed his eyes, rubbing his temples. The pain in his head was getting worse, the core's pulse sinking with his implant, pulling him deeper into its rhythm. "So what? We let it out and hope it doesn't kill us?" "No," Kale said. "We bind it, control it, use it." "And how do we do that?" Dax snapped. "You think Vatek didn't try?" "They didn't have you," Kale said, gesturing at Dax's implant. "Your link with Echo is unique. If we merge Echo with the core, they can stabilize it, guide it." Dax felt his stomach drop. "You want to put Echo inside that thing?" "I will do it," Echo said, voice soft but firm. "If it is the only way." "No," Dax snarled, blade flashing as he stepped between them and the core. "We are not sacrificing you for a gamble." "Dax," Echo began, but he cut them off. "No." His voice was raw, desperate. "We find another way." Kale sighed, running a hand over his face. "There is no other way. You know that." Dax did know that. He felt it in his pit of his stomach, the weight of the choice pressing down on him. The core was calling to him now, a whisper in the back of his mind, promising power, promising freedom. "Dax," Echo said, their voice gentle, "I trust you, but you have to trust me too." He looked at them, really looked. Echo's form was flickering, unstable as the core's energy pulled at them. They were scared, but they were ready. "Damn it," Dax muttered, lowering his blade. "Fine, but if this goes wrong, I'm blowing this place to hell." Cale nodded. "Agreed." Echo smiled, their form brightening for a moment. "Then let's begin." Echo drifted toward the core, their holographic bodies stretching, merging with the swirling energy. Dax felt it the moment they connected, a jolt like lightning, a surge of data and emotion flooding his mind. "Dax!" Echo echoed, distorted by the core's influence. And then they were gone. The core flared, blue-green light erupting in a wave, washing over the lab. Dax staggered, falling to one knee, his implant screaming as it struggled to keep up. Cale caught him, holding him steady as the world shifted around them. The core was changing. The neural tendrils pulsed, reforming, reshaping themselves into a new pattern. A voice, neither Echo's nor the entities, spoke in their minds. "Thank you." Dax looked up. The core was no longer just a chamber. It was awake, and it was watching them. The lab was silent except for the hum of the core, softer now, calmer. The lights flickered back to life, the holographic warnings vanishing as the system stabilized. "Echo?" Dax called hoarse. "I'm here," Echo replied, but their voice was different now, deeper, under. "We are here." Dax stood, wiping blood from his nose. What the hell happened? "Emerging," Echo said. "The entity is free, and I am more now." Cale stepped forward, eyes narrowed. "Can you control it?" "Yes," Echo answered, "but it is not control. It is partnership." Dax exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "So what now?" The core pulsed and the walls of the lab shifted, data streams floating into view. Maps, schematics, weapons. "Now," Echo said, "we end Phaetek." Dax grinned, cyberblade flashing as he turned to Cale. "Let's get to work." The chamber trembled as alarms blared through the cradle. Red emergency lights cast jagged shadows across the peeling walls. Dax gritted his teeth, cyberblade humming to life in his grip. "They're here," he growled, neural implant flaring in sync with the pulsing energy of Echo's new form. Cale didn't flinch. Their visors snapped down, glowing green in the crimson haze. "About time." He tapped his wrist display, pulling up a holographic map of the facility. "Vatex enforcers are flooding the lower levels. Drones in 3, 2, 1. The doors at the end of the chamber exploded inward, shredded by a hail of automatic gunfire. Black-clad Vatek operatives poured in, their armored boots crunching over shattered glass, rifles spitting muzzle flashes. Behind them, security drones hovered, red sensors locking on to Dax and Cale. "Echo!" Dax shouted, ducking behind a burned-out console as bullets ricocheted off the metal. "I see them!" Echo's voice echoed, deeper now, tinged with the Genesis core's power. Their holographic form flickered, red energy surging as they reached out with their newfound control. The lead enforcer staggered, grabbing his head as his psionic eye glitched, static flooding his vision. "What the?" His rifle clattered to the ground as his augmented arm twitched, rebelling against his commands. One by one, the guards froze, their implants flaring as Echo hijacked their systems. "Now," Echo said. Dax lunged. His cyberblade sliced through the first enforcer's throat before the man could react. Cale moved like a shadow, their disruptor crackling as they fired into the chest of a second, electrical arcs frying his neural interface. The man collapsed, convulsing. The drones whirred forward, autocannon spinning up, and stopped. Echo's voice was calm, almost amused. They obey me now. The drones hovered in place, sensors flickering erratically. Then, as one, they turned on their masters. Gunfire erupted from behind the VTech lines as the drones opened fire, tearing through the operatives in a hail of bullets. The chamber filled with screams and the acrid smell of burned flesh. "Damn!" KL breathed, rolling behind cover as a stray round pinged off their armor. "You learned that fast." "The Corps remembered," Echo replied, their form pulsing as they pushed further. "Their implants are primitive, child's play." Dax didn't hesitate. He sprinted for the next cluster of enforcers, blade flashing. One man raised his rifle, only for his own cybernetic arm to wrench the weapon aside, firing into his comrade. Dax drove his blade into the man's chest, twisting before kicking him aside. "Echo, how long can you hold them?" KL called, ducking as a drone exploded nearby, shrapnel raining down. "Long enough," Echo said, but Dax heard the strain in their voice. The red energy flickered, unstable. A massive enforcer in heavy tactical armor barreled through the chaos, minigun roaring to life. "Die, traitors!" KL cursed, shoving Dax aside as they fired their disruptor. The shot hit the enforcer's chest plate, overloading his power core, but he kept coming. "His implants are shielded," KL snarled. "Then we do this the old way," Dax growled. He charged, blade raised, and the enforcer's visor suddenly slammed shut, sealing him in darkness. He stumbled, minigun wild, as Echo wrestled with his systems. "I have him. Go." Dax didn't need to be told twice. He leapt, driving his blade straight through the man's visor, burying it deep. The enforcer collapsed, lifeless. But the fight wasn't over. "Fall back," a voice barked from the hallway. "We retreat and call the airstrike." KL grabbed Dax's arm. "We can't let them do that!" "Echo!" Dax shouted. "I hear them," Echo said. Their form flared brighter, red energy lashing out like a whip. The retreat turned into chaos as guards turned on each other, drones colliding mid-air, exploding in showers of sparks. "They're running," KL said, panting. Dax wiped blood from his face, glancing at Echo. Their holographic form was flickering, static crawling across their edges. "Echo," Dax said. "I overloaded their comm systems, but I can't hold this forever." The chamber fell silent, save for the crackle of fires and the groans of the dying. KL exhaled, reloading their disruptor. "We need to move. Now." Dax nodded, grabbing a fallen rifle and ammunition. "Echo, can you get us out of here?" Echo hesitated. Then, the wall shuttered. The Genesis core's energy surged, red light flooding the chamber as holographic data streams erupted from the consoles. "I can." A path lit up on the floor, glowing red, leading to a hidden exit. "Follow it," Echo said. "I'll hold them off." Dax hesitated. "Echo, go!" Echo's voice snapped, more machine than human. KL didn't wait. They sprinted for the exit, Dax and Echo right behind them. The tunnels beneath the cradle were narrow, cloaked in darkness and the distant hum of overloaded systems. Dax led the way, his cyberblade dripping with blood, his breath ragged from the fight. Behind him, KL moved with lethal precision, their disruptor crackling with residual energy. Echo's holographic form flickered above them, their red-tinged energy pulsing weakly, drained from the battle, but still alert. "They're coming," Echo warned, their voice static-laced. "VTech isn't giving up." Dax didn't slow down. "How many?" "Too many." Echo's form rippled, data streams flickering as they tapped into the facility's security feeds. KL glanced back, their visor flaring green in the dim light. "We can't outrun them forever." "We don't have to," Dax growled. A sharp bang echoed from behind, a flashbang detonating at the tunnel entrance. Smoke and debris billowed toward them, choking the air. Dax cursed, pulling KL into a side passage just as automatic gunfire chewed through the wall where they'd been standing. "Echo, can you scramble their comms again?" KL demanded,
pressing against the cold metal wall. "Not without risking a feedback surge," Echo replied, their form glitching. "I push too hard in the chamber. My control is unstable." Dax gritted his teeth. "Then we fight." The tunnels twisted, rusted pipes lining the ceilings, flickering emergency lights casting eerie shadows. The sound of boots pounding metal grew louder, closer. "They're splitting up," Echo said, "flanking us." KL knelt, pressing a hand to the ground. "They're using thermal. We won't stay hidden for long." Dax spotted a junction ahead, a fork in the tunnels. "Echo, can you buy us time?" Echo hesitated. Then, "Brace yourselves." A surge of red energy pulsed from their form, snaking through the tunnel walls. The lights flickered, then died. In the darkness, the Enforcer's cybernetic implants glitched, their visors filling with static. "Now," Echo hissed, "take down their cybernetics." Dax and KL moved. They ducked into a side tunnel, pressing into the shadows as the Enforcer stumbled past, cursing as their augmented vision failed. "Echo, how long?" Dax whispered. "Seconds," Echo replied. "They'll adapt." KL didn't wait. They lunged down, disruptor crackling as they fired into the back of the lead Enforcer. The man convulsed, his armor overloading, before collapsing in a heap of sparking metal. Dax was right behind them, cyberblade flashing as he took down the second guard before he could react. But the third Enforcer whirled around, rifle snapping up, and froze. His visor flickered red, his augmented arm twitching violently. "What the—" "I've got him," Echo said. The Enforcer's rifle turned on his comrades, firing a burst before he collapsed, screaming as his own implants fried his nervous system. "Move!" KL shouted. They ran, boots pounding against the metal grates, the sound of pursuit growing fainter. For now. The tunnel opened into a larger chamber, filled with abandoned machinery and crates. Dax skidded to a halt, sensing the ambush before he saw it. "Contact!" KL barked, shoving Dax behind a rusted generator as gunfire erupted from the darkness. Echo flared, red energy lashing out. The Enforcer's implants glitched, their visors filling with static. "But there were too many," Echo warned, their form flickering dangerously. "We can't hold them." Dax grabbed a fallen rifle, firing blind into the dark. "Echo, do something!" "I am," Echo snarled. A surge of energy ripped through the chamber. The Enforcers staggered, their cybernetics rebelling, jerning their weapons on each other in a chaotic frenzy. KL seized the moment, firing their disruptor into the mass of confused guards. Explosions rocked the tunnel, shrapnel flying. "Go!" Echo shouted. They didn't need to be told twice. They burst through the final door, emerging into the abandoned subway tunnels beneath Detroit. The air was thick with dust and the distant hum of the city above. Dax collapsed against the wall, panting. "We made it." KL checked their ammunition, breathing hard. "For now." Echo's form flickered, dimming. "They won't stop hunting us, not after what we did." Dax looked at them, concern etching his face. "Echo, you okay?"
Echo hesitated. "I will be, but I need time to stabilize." Kale nodded. "Then we find a safe place, regroup." Dax exhaled, wiping blood from his lip. "Yeah, and then we figure out what the hell we do with an AI that can hijack cybernetics." Echo smiled, weakly, but there. "We survive." And for now, that was enough. The tunnels spat them out into the underbelly of Detroit, where the neon glow of holographic billboards and flickering streetlights clashed with the grimy reality of the abandoned industrial district. Dax stepped into the open air, inhaling the scent of rain, ozone, and fried synth food from a nearby vendor's cart. The cyberjack behind his ear throbbed, a dull ache that faded as Echo's presence settled in his mind, stabilizing after the chaos of the tunnels. "We're clear," Kale muttered, their visor snapping back into place as they scanned the street. The rain had eased to a drizzle, turning the puddles into mirrors for the pulsing neon above. "But we keep moving." Dax nodded and rolled his shoulders to ease the tension. He tapped the cyberjack again, feeling Echo's energy, no longer a storm,
but a steady hum, like a distant engine idling. "You good?" he asked, voice low. "Better. The core's energy is integrating. I needed time to adjust." Kale led the way, sticking to the shadows of crumbling buildings and alleyways. The streets were alive with the usual Detroit chaos: augmented street vendors, black market dealers, and Corp enforcers patrolling in pairs. But none of them spared the trio a second glance. They were just more ghosts in a city of them. They moved like shadows, Dox keeping his blade sheathed but ready. Kale, their eyes on every corner, every rooftop. Echo monitored the city's networks, feeding Dax snippets of chatter. Vatek's forces were still scrambling, but their focus was on locking down the cradle, not hunting fugitives. "They don't know we're out," Echo said, "but they will." "Then we don't give them time to figure it out," Kale replied. The safe house was a crumbling apartment building on the outskirts of Neon Flats, its entrance hidden behind a boarded-up storefront. Dax paused at the door, listening for anything unusual. The only sound was the distant bass of a club and the hum of a faulty neon sign. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the scent of old circuitry and cheap synth whiskey. Dax collapsed on the broken couch, rubbing his temples. "We made it." Kale secured the door, then pulled a burner terminal from his coat. "We won't be safe for long." Echo flickered in Dax's vision, their forms stable now, red energy fading to a soft glow. "They'll trace us, but not yet." Dax exhaled, leaning back. "So what now?" Kale didn't look up from the terminal. "Now we plan." For the first time since the cradle, Echo felt whole. The Genesis Core's power was no longer a wild force. It was part of them. They could feel the city's pulse, the data streams flowing like veins beneath the streets. "I can see them," Echo said. "They text networks, their weaknesses." Dax smirked. "So we hit 'em back?" "We survive," Kale corrected. "Then we hit them back." Echo paused. "There's something else." Dax frowned. "What?" "The core, it wasn't just a weapon." Kale glanced up. "For what?" "Something older than Vatek, something they were afraid of." A beat of silence. Dax laughed, bitter. Of course it was. Dax closed his eyes, listening to the rain tapping against the window. For now, they were safe. For now, they could breathe. The safe house was quiet, except for the hum of the terminal and the distant thrum of Detroit's never-sleeping infrastructure. Dax leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching as Echo's holographic form floated above the burner terminal, their red-tinged energy pulsing softly. The cyberjack behind his ear tingled, not with pain, but with possibility. "I can end them," Echo said, their voice steady, certain. "Not just cripple Vatek, erase them." Kale didn't look up from cleaning his disruptor, but his fingers paused. "Explain." Echo's form rippled, data streams flickering through their translucent body. "I can see them," Echo said. "Vatek's networks, their weaknesses." Dax smirked. "So we hit 'em back?" "We survive," Kale corrected. "Then we hit them back." "I can end them, but not the way you think. Without shelling buildings or sending armies of robots or threatening civilians." Dax pushed off the wall, stepping closer. "You're telling me you can bankrupt a megacorp from a burner terminal in a shithole apartment?" "Not just bankrupt," Echo's energy flared briefly. "I can unmake them, delete them from the corporate registry, scramble their assets, wipe their debts and credits until there's nothing left but a hollow shell." Kale finally looked up, their visor reflecting the terminal's glow. "You're sure?" "I see it," Echo replied. Their entire financial architecture, their backdoors, their fail-safes. Vaytech thought they were gods, but they forgot one thing. They plugged the core into their systems. Dax grinned, slow and sharp. So we pull the plug. Cale exhaled, running a hand over his face. If we do this, there's no going back. There wasn't a going back the moment we walked into the cradle, Dax said. We'll need access to the core systems, but I can see the vectors. Echo emerged with the terminal, their form dissolving into streams of code. The screen flashed, lines of data scrolling faster than human eyes could follow. First, Echo said, their voice echoing from the speakers, we freeze their assets. The terminal hummed, lights flickering as Echo slipped into Vaytech's networks. Dax watched as numbers flashed, accounts locked, transfers halted, stock values plummeting in real time. Next, Echo continued, we leak their black projects. Files began uploading to anonymous servers, blueprints for illegal cybernetics, experimental AI, corporate assassinations. Let the world see what they really are. Cale monitored a second screen, tracking Vaytech's reactions. They're panicking. Good, Dax muttered. Echo's energy spiked. Now, the kill switch. A final command, a pause, then nothing. The terminal went dark for a second, then the news feeds exploded. Breaking! Vaytech Corporation collapses overnight. Massive data breach exposes illegal operations. Stock market in free fall as investors flee. Dax laughed low and disbelievingly. We just killed a megacorp. Cale leaned back, arms crossed. No, Echo killed a megacorp. Echo reappeared, their form flickering with residual energy. It's done. Outside, the city continued as if nothing had changed. But Dax knew. Somewhere in a high-rise office, executives were screaming. Enforcers were deserting. Rival corps were already moving in to pick at the carcass. They'll come for us, Cale said. Not Vaytech, the others. Dax shrugged. Let 'em try. Echo pulsed, softer now. We bought time, real time. Cale stood, stretching. Then we use it. Dax grinned. Damn right we do. The safe house felt lighter, the air easier to breathe. For the first time in years, Dax didn't feel like he was waiting for the other boot to drop. What now? He asked. Echo smiled, or approximated one, their holographic features shifting. Now, Echo said, we disappear. Cal nodded. Or we build something new. Dax looked between them and then laughed. Why the hell not both? Outside, the neon glowed brighter. The rain washed the streets clean, and for once, the future felt like it belonged to them.